Some bruises don't show. They settle beneath the skin. Deep. Quiet. Permanent. I learned that early. The first time Aaron grabbed my wrist hard enough to leave fingerprints, I told myself it was an accident. The second time, I told myself he was stressed. The third time, I stopped counting. I became very good at hiding. Long sleeves. High collars. Concealer in my bag. Smiles that didn't reach my eyes. Silence that felt safer than truth. Because Omegas like me don't get sympathy. We get blamed. Before I tell you how everything changed, before I tell you about the Alpha Mafia boss who noticed what no one else did, subscribe now, turn on notifications, and comment where you're watching from. Your support keeps these stories alive. Now, let me tell you about the life I was barely surviving. My name is Una Park. I'm 23, an Omega, and a secretary to one of the most feared men in Seoul. Kang Dyoon, CEO by day, Mafia boss by night. They say he controls half the city's underground. They say people disappear when he speaks their names. They say he doesn't forgive. They say he doesn't feel. I wouldn't know, because in the year I've worked for him, he has never raised his voice at me, never touched me, never looked at me longer than necessary. To Kang Dyoon, I am invisible, which is exactly how I survive. Every morning, I wake before Aaron. I shower quietly, dress quietly, cover everything, because if he sees a bruise I didn't hide well enough, he says I embarrass him. If I flinch when he moves too fast, he says I make him look like a monster. I wouldn't have to discipline you if you behaved, he once told me calmly, like he was explaining the weather, like breaking me was reasonable. I believed him, for a long time, because Aaron was the first alpha who ever chose me. Low-rank Omegas don't get many choices. We take what we're offered. We learn gratitude, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. I met Aaron in college. He was charming, protective, always walking me home, always holding my hand. He said he loved how small I was, how quiet, how obedient. I thought that meant safe. I was wrong. Work is the only place I can breathe. The Kang Group Tower rises into the clouds. Cold glass. Perfect symmetry. Silent power. I like it. No shouting. No slammed doors. No accusations. Just order. Routine. Control. I arrive at exactly 7:40 a.m. Coffee prepared at 7:45. Schedule printed by 7:50. Mr. Kang arrives at 8 o'clock sharp. Every day. He never smiles. Never greets. Never insults. He simply takes the coffee. Nods once. Walks into his office. That nod is the closest thing to kindness I know. And I treasure it. The day everything began. I was late. 3 minutes. Because Aaron shoved me into the bathroom door. Because my vision went white. Because I had to sit on the floor and breathe. Because I still came to work. I always come to work. Even when I'm bleeding. Even when I'm shaking. Even when I want to disappear. I reapplied concealer in the elevator. Pressed ice from my water bottle to my cheek. Pulled my bangs lower. Practiced smiling. By the time I stepped onto the executive floor, I looked normal. I always look normal. Mr. Kang is already here. The assistant's whisper sent panic through me. I'm sorry, I said softly. I hurried to my desk. Hands shaking. Heart racing. I placed his coffee on a tray. Walked toward his office. Knocked. Enter. His voice was deep. Calm. Dangerously controlled. I stepped inside. Head lowered. I apologized for being late. Silence. Too long. I waited for anger. For punishment. For cold dismissal. None came. Place it down, he said. I walked forward. Set the coffee beside his hand. As I turned to leave, something happened. Kang Dyoon stood. Slowly. I froze. He took one step closer. Then another. I couldn't lift my head. Look at me, he said. It wasn't a command. It was worse. It was quiet. I hesitated. Then obeyed. His eyes locked onto mine. Sharp. Dark. Unreadable. Then, they dropped. To my cheek. To the place I had hidden. His jaw tightened. Just slightly. What happened to your face? The words were simple, but no one had ever asked me that before. Not once. My mouth opened. Nothing came out. I. I fell, I whispered. He didn't respond. He reached out. Not to touch, but close enough that I felt his warmth. Take tomorrow off, he said. I'm fine, I said automatically. That wasn't a suggestion. My heart hammered. Yes, sir. He stepped back, returned to his desk, dismissed me. But I knew. I felt it. Kong Duyun had seen me. And when a man like him notices something, someone always pays. I just didn't know yet. Who? I thought if I kept my head down, if I worked harder, if I smiled more, if I made myself smaller, Kong Duyun would forget what he saw. I was wrong. The next morning, I stayed home like he ordered. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to Aaron move around the apartment. Every sound made me tense. I didn't tell him I had the day off. I never tell him anything. When he left for work, he kissed my forehead. Soft, almost gentle. I love you, he said. I whispered it back. I always do, even when I don't feel it anymore. When I returned to work the following day, everything felt different. Not loud, not obvious. Subtle, dangerous. The security guard at the entrance bowed slightly. The elevator operator didn't rush me. My desk had a small paper bag on it. No name, no note. Inside was an expensive concealer stick. High coverage, medical grade. My throat tightened. No one at work knew about Aaron. No one knew about my bruises. Except one man. I didn't look toward Kong Duyun's office. I didn't want him to see my reaction. I didn't want him to see how close I was to crying. Kong Duyun didn't speak to me that morning. But he watched. I felt it. When I walked past his open door. When I handed him documents. When I refilled his coffee. Not staring. Not obvious. Observing. Like he was memorizing me. It made my skin prickle. Not in fear. In something worse. Awareness. That afternoon, Aaron texted. Aaron, why didn't you answer earlier? Me. I was in a meeting. Aaron, you think you're too good to reply now? I stared at the screen. Typed. Deleted. Typed again. Me. I'm sorry. 3 seconds passed. Aaron, you will be when I get home. My hands started shaking. I shoved my phone into my pocket. Focused on my screen. On spreadsheets. On breathing. I didn't notice Kong Duyun standing beside my desk. Not until he spoke. Do you have plans tonight? I looked up, startled. No, sir. A lie. But he didn't need details. Cancel them. I require overtime. Simple. Unemotional. Not negotiable. Yes, sir. Relief crashed into me so hard my knees almost buckled. Overtime meant Aaron wouldn't see me until late. Maybe he'd be asleep. Maybe he'd forget. Maybe. We worked in silence. Just the two of us on the executive floor. City lights glowing outside the windows. Keyboards clicking. Pages turning. The building felt like a fortress. Safe. Around 10 p.m., Kong Duyun stood. You haven't eaten. I'm fine. He didn't respond. 5 minutes later, a food tray appeared on my desk. Warm soup. Rice. Steamed dumplings. My stomach growled traitorously. I didn't ask for this, I said softly. I ordered it, he replied. Silence. Then, eat. I obeyed, because I always obey. But this time, it didn't feel like submission. It felt like permission. To exist. To need. To be human. As I ate, Kong Duyun returned to his desk. But he didn't work. He watched the window. Hands folded. Face unreadable. You live with someone, he said suddenly. My heart stopped. Your scent, he continued calmly. It's layered. Old alpha. Possessive. I wanted to disappear. Yes. Boyfriend. Yes. Another pause. Does he cause the injuries? The world went very quiet. I stared at my soup. Steam rising. My reflection trembling. I fall a lot, I whispered. Silence. Thick. Heavy. Then, if you ever need somewhere to go, Kong Duyun said, you will come to me. I looked up. He wasn't looking at me, which somehow made it worse. I don't need charity, I said. I don't offer charity. My chest hurt. What do you offer? Protection. One word. Simple. Terrifying. I shook my head. I'm fine. Kong Dune finally looked at me. His eyes were dark. Not angry. Not cold. Focused. You are not. I swallowed. But I didn't argue. Because part of me, a small, traitorous part, wanted to believe him. That night, I got home at midnight. Aaron was waiting, sitting on the couch. Lights off. Phone in his hand. You stayed late, he said. Yes. With who? My boss. His eyes narrowed. You're lying. I'm not. He stood. Walked toward me. I flinched. I couldn't stop it. His lip curled. So he sees you more than I do now. I work for him. You belong to me. He grabbed my wrist. Hard. Pain exploded. I cried out. Something in Aaron's eyes shifted. Not anger. Not jealousy. Fear. Like he knew. Like he sensed something had changed. Like he felt another alpha's shadow entering his territory. He released me abruptly. Go to bed, he snapped. I didn't argue. I ran, curled up under the blankets, shaking. But this time, when I closed my eyes, I didn't imagine Aaron saving me. I imagined Kong Diyun, standing in front of me, blocking every hit. And that terrified me, because fantasies are dangerous. And hope is the most dangerous thing of all. Aaron started changing. Not in big ways. Not obvious ways. Small ones. He checked my phone more. Counted the minutes I was late. Smelled my clothes when I came home. Asked questions that didn't sound like questions. Does your boss look at you? Do you talk to him alone? Does he touch you? Every answer was wrong. If I said no, I was lying. If I said yes, I was asking for punishment. So I learned to say nothing. Silence became my safest language. Kong Diyun, on the other hand, didn't change, which somehow meant everything had changed. He continued ordering me to stay late. 3 nights a week. Then 4. Then almost every night. He never framed it as concern. Never said he was keeping me away from Aaron. He simply said, I require you here. And I always stayed. Not because I had to. Because I wanted to. Because those hours were the only time I didn't feel afraid. One evening, I made a mistake. A stupid mistake. I forgot to reapply concealer. I didn't realize until I was already standing inside Kong Diyun's office. He saw it instantly. A purple shadow blooming beneath my jaw. His hand froze mid-page. Who did that? I opened my mouth. Closed it. I fell. His pen snapped in half. The sound made me jump. Kong Diyun stood slowly. Every movement controlled. Too controlled. You fell, he repeated. I nodded. He walked toward me. Not fast. Not slow. Like a predator deciding something. He stopped an arm's length away. Look at me. I did. Tears burned my eyes. You are lying. I shook my head weakly. Yuna, he said. The first time he ever used my name. My knees almost gave out. Who did it? Silence. My silence was an answer. Kong Diyun inhaled slowly. Then exhaled. Once. Twice. When you leave work, he said. Where do you go? Home. With him. I nodded. Another breath. Longer. He hurts you. It wasn't a question. I broke. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Tears just started falling. I covered my mouth with my hand. I'm sorry, I whispered. I didn't mean to be a problem. Kong Diyun's eyes darkened. You are not a problem. His voice dropped. He is. That night, Kong Diyun ordered me to stay. Not overtime. Not work. Stay. You will sleep in the guest room upstairs, he said. I can't, I said automatically. He'll look for me. Let him. Fear crawled up my spine. You don't understand. I understand enough. I shook my head. He'll get angry. Kong Diyun stepped closer. So will I. 2 alphas. 1 omega. I knew which one would survive. Kong Diyun's penthouse was silent. Huge. Cold. Safe. He showed me the guest room. Clean bed. Soft lighting. Locked door. You are safe here. No one had ever said that to me before. Not and meant it. I slept. Real sleep. Dreamless. For the first time in years. Aaron called 37 times. Texted over 100. Threats. Please. Rage. Love bombing. Apologies. I didn't respond. I stared at the screen. Hands shaking. Kong Dune noticed. He took my phone. Turned it off. You don't belong to him. The words felt illegal. Dangerous. Addictive. The next evening, Kong Dune left the penthouse. He didn't tell me where he was going. He didn't need to. I knew. I felt it in my bones. He returned at 3:17 a.m. His suit was clean. His hands were spotless. But his eyes were darker than I had ever seen them. Where's Aaron? I whispered. Kong Dune removed his jacket. Hung it neatly. He will not hurt you again. My heart hammered. You killed him. No. Relief flooded me. Then he added. He disappeared. I stared. People like him always do. I understood what that meant. Aaron was gone. Not arrested. Not charged. Gone. No body. No explanation. No closure. Just erased. My knees buckled. Kong Dune caught me before I hit the floor. I clutched his shirt. Sobbing. I didn't ask for this. I know. I don't want blood on my hands. There isn't any. You're lying. Kong Dune didn't answer. He just held me. Strong. Unmoving. Like a wall between me and the world. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. I was safe, but I was now living inside the lion's den, with the most dangerous alpha in the city. An alpha who had chosen me. And men like Kong Dune never choose lightly. The first rule of Kong Dune's penthouse was simple. Nothing touched me without permission. Not staff. Not security. Not even him. It wasn't spoken. It was enforced. Every maid bowed. Every guard kept distance. Every door locked behind me. Not to trap me. To protect me. It should have felt like a prison. Instead, it felt like the safest place I had ever known. And that scared me more than anything. I didn't leave the penthouse for 3 days. Not because I wasn't allowed, but because I didn't know how to exist outside anymore. I slept. A lot. My body was finally allowed to rest. No screaming. No slammed doors. No footsteps pacing outside my room. Just quiet. When I woke, meals were waiting. Fresh clothes appeared in my closet. A phone with a new number. No tracking apps. No messages. No Aaron. Just silence. Healing silence. I didn't realize how broken I was. Until I stopped breaking. Kong Dune never entered my room without knocking. Never stayed longer than necessary. Never touched me. Sometimes I saw him in the kitchen late at night. Standing by the window. Looking out over the city. A king surveying his kingdom. Cold. Untouchable. But when he noticed me, his gaze softened. Just slightly. Did you eat? Yes. Did you sleep? Yes. That was the extent of our conversations. But somehow, it was more care than I'd ever received. One afternoon, I found courage. Small. Shaky. I should go back to work, I said. Kong Dune looked up from his tablet. Why? I can't hide here forever. You are not hiding. I don't want to be a burden. His jaw tightened. You are not a burden. I swallowed. Then what am I? Silence stretched. Then, you are under my protection. Not employee. Not asset. Not toy. Protection. The word settled in my chest like something fragile and precious. I'll drive you, he added. I can take a taxi. No. Simple. Final. The building reacted differently when I returned. Security bowed deeper. Staff avoided my eyes. Whispers followed me. They knew. Not details. But status. I wasn't just the Omega secretary anymore. I was Kong Dune's Omega. Even if neither of us had said it. That invisible title wrapped around me like chains made of silk. Work felt surreal. Same desk. Same computer. Different universe. No bruises to hide. No flinching when footsteps approached. No fear when my phone buzzed. Because it never buzzed. Aaron was gone. The world had kept spinning. Only I felt the crater. Sometimes I wondered if I should feel guilty. I didn't. I felt empty. And relieved. And alive. All at once. Late one night, I had a nightmare. Aaron's face. His hands. His voice. You belong to me. I woke screaming. Sweat soaked my clothes. My throat burned. The door opened instantly. Kong Diyun was there. No hesitation. No questions. He knelt beside my bed. You're safe. I shook my head. He's coming back. He can't. You don't know that. I do. His certainty wrapped around me like armor. I grabbed his sleeve. Before I could stop myself. Before I could think. He froze. Didn't pull away. Didn't move. Just let me hold him. My fingers trembled. I'm sorry, I whispered. You don't have to be. I started crying. Not quietly. Not prettily. Ugly. Broken. Years of fear pouring out of me. Kong Diyun didn't shush me. Didn't tell me to calm down. He sat on the edge of the bed. Let me cry into his shoulder. One hand rested awkwardly on my back. Like he wasn't sure what to do. Like he was learning. Slowly. Carefully. For me. After that night, everything shifted. He began eating meals with me. Not across the room. Across the table. He started asking small questions. What food do you like? Do you prefer mornings or nights? Do you want to study again? No one had ever cared about my preferences. Not once. I didn't even know the answers. We were building something. Neither of us named it. Because naming things makes them real. And real things can be taken away. One evening, I saw blood on his knuckles. Not much, but enough. My stomach twisted. Are you hurt? Kong Diyun glanced at his hand. No, you're lying. He paused. Then, they were careless. I knew what that meant. Someone had paid. For me. The weight of that crushed my chest. I don't want people dying because of me. No one dies because of you, he said. They die because they make poor choices. I didn't know if that was comfort. But I accepted it anyway. Sometimes I caught him watching me. When I laughed softly at something stupid. When I fell asleep on the couch. When I concentrated on paperwork. Not hunger. Not lust. Something quieter. Something deeper. Something dangerous. I didn't call it love. I didn't let myself. Because loving Kong Diyun would ruin me. But I already cared. And caring was enough to destroy me if I wasn't careful. One night, while I washed dishes, I asked, why me? He didn't answer immediately. Then, because you didn't break. I stared at him. You think I'm strong? Yes. I almost laughed. I had spent my whole life being weak. But in his eyes, I was something else. Something worth protecting. Something worth choosing. And I didn't know how to carry that. Outside the penthouse, the underworld was shifting. Rival syndicates were whispering. Someone was asking questions about me. Someone knew I mattered. I didn't know it yet. But safety in Kong Diyun's world always comes with a price. And soon, I would be forced to choose. Run. Or stay. It started with a missing guard. One man. Then two. Then a car that never returned. Kong Diyun didn't panic. He never did. But the penthouse security doubled. Then tripled. Men with earpieces appeared on every floor. Doors locked automatically. Windows sealed at night. I felt it. The shift. The tension tightening around us. Something bad was coming. And it had my name on it. I was in the kitchen when Kong Diyun took a call. He didn't raise his voice. Didn't curse. Didn't threaten. Which meant it was serious. I don't negotiate, he said calmly. Pause. Another pause. Then, you already made a mistake. He ended the call. Turned to me. Pack a bag. My heart dropped. Why? We're relocating. Because of me? Yes. The honesty hurt. They want leverage, he continued. You are leverage. Guilt crushed me. I should leave, I whispered. Kong Diyun crossed the room in 3 strides. Grabbed my shoulders. Not hard. Not gentle. Certain. You are not going anywhere without me. What if I'm the reason you die? Then I die protecting you. My breath caught. Why? I demanded. Because you're mine. The word landed like thunder. Not ownership. Not possession. Claim. Choice. I stared at him. You don't even know me. I know enough. What do you know? That you survive things that should have killed you. that you're kind even when the world wasn't, that you never once used your suffering to hurt others. His voice dropped. That makes you rare. Tears spilled. I'm not strong. You're the strongest person I've ever met. No one had ever said that to me. Not once. They attacked during transit. Gunfire. Screaming. Explosions. Everything happened at once. Kong Dyun shoved me into the back seat, covered my body with his. Bullets shattered glass. I screamed his name. He didn't look at me. Only forward. Only toward survival. When it was over, blood dripped from his side. My hands shook as I pressed against the wound. No, no, no. I'm fine, he said through clenched teeth. You're lying. Probably. I laughed hysterically, then cried, because I couldn't lose him. Not him. Not after everything. We hid in a safe house outside the city. No staff. No guards. Just us. And silence. Kong Dyun stitched his own wound. I watched, terrified. This is my fault, I whispered. No. If I wasn't here, you'd still be hunted, he said. They'd just use something else. I looked at him. You could send me away. I won't. You could erase me like Aaron. His eyes hardened. I don't erase what I care about. The words slipped out before he could stop them. He froze. So did I. You care? I whispered. Kong Dyun looked away. Yes. My heart pounded. Why? Because you feel like home. Home. A word I had never been allowed to own. I moved closer. Slow. Giving him time to stop me. He didn't. I touched his hand. He didn't pull away. I don't want to be alone anymore, I said. Neither do I. We didn't kiss. Not yet. We rested our foreheads together, breathing the same air. Two broken people choosing not to be broken alone. The rival syndicate fell within a week. Not because of rage. Not because of revenge. Because Kong Dyun planned. Cold. Precise. Final. After that, the city went quiet again. For the first time. So did my heart. I stayed. Not because I was trapped. Not because I was scared. Because I wanted to. I moved into Kong Dyun's room. We slept in the same bed. No pressure. No expectations. Sometimes we held hands. Sometimes we didn't. Sometimes he wrapped an arm around me in his sleep. Every time he did, I felt safe. Really safe. One night I asked, "What are we?" Kong Dyun thought for a long time. Then said, "Two people who found each other in hell." I smiled. I like that. So do I. He brushed his thumb across my cheek. Gentle. Reverent. Choose me, he said quietly. I didn't hesitate. I already did. I used to think love was supposed to hurt. I was wrong. Love is supposed to feel like shelter. Like breath. Like safety. Kong Dyun isn't gentle with the world. But he is gentle with me. And that is everything.